You are listening to WebFit News Live Radio. News that fits your fast life.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open a defense agreement that might look like just another government spending headline on the surface.
Right, just another big number.
Exactly. But it tells much more profound story about India's long-term military and, its industrial strategy. We're talking about a massive, recently approved support package for India's fleet of MH-60R Seahawk helicopters. And our sources really outline the complexity here, so our mission for you, the learner, is to understand why this huge outlay, and we mean huge, is actually a fundamental piece of the puzzle for operational readiness.
And, maybe even more importantly, how it's being used to build future self-reliance.
Yes, that's the long game.
Well, the numbers themselves, they immediately demand attention. We're looking at a commitment valued at approximately 7,995 crore rupees.
Wow.
For our international audience, that's, roughly $1 billion US. And the critical point here is that this is not the money to buy the helicopters.
No, this is all support.
All support. It's a 5-year follow-on support package, specifically designed to keep the 24 MH-60R Seahawk helicopters in the Indian Navy's fleet fully operational.
And what I find immediately fascinating is the political backdrop. Our sources note this deal is sailing forward pretty robustly.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a clear sign of continuous strategic alignment, even when, we've seen reports of some bilateral tension recently.
Yeah.
Particularly around trade tariffs.
Right, that whole situation, it really feels like the defense cooperation is sort of insulated from the typical day-to-day political friction.
It has to be. It suggests the underlying strategic need is it's massive.
It truly is. This kind of continuity, it signals that these helicopters are considered absolutely indispensable assets. So before we even get into the support money, I think we need to understand what exactly India is spending nearly 8,000 crore rupees to maintain.
Let's do that. Let's unpack the hardware. The MH-60R Seahawk fleet. I think most people have heard of the Black Hawk, the utility version.
For sure, a famous name.
But the Seahawk is its naval multi-mission sibling. It's manufactured by Lockheed Martin Corporation. These are considered, and I mean globally, the absolute cutting edge of naval rotorcraft technology.
They are strategic game changers. I mean, truly. The Indian Navy acquired them specifically to boost their capability in 3 key areas.
Okay.
First, advanced anti-submarine warfare, or ASW. Then anti-surface warfare, and finally, extended maritime surveillance.
So in the complex waters of the Indian Ocean, where underwater threats are just proliferating.
And they are constant.
These 24 Seahawks become essential for protecting, the carrier fleet?
Yeah.
Other big assets?
Exactly. High-value assets.
Yeah.
If those 24 birds aren't flying, the operational capacity of the entire fleet just drops exponentially.
So, to give you, the listeners, some context on the timeline here, the initial deal, the foreign military sales contract to buy these 24 helicopters, was agreed way back in February 2020. So these are still relatively new assets in the fleet.
That's a vital piece of context. The current, 7,995 crore support package is being executed entirely under that same U.S. foreign military sales program, the FMS framework.
This is pretty standard, right?
It's the standard, reliable mechanism for getting your hands on high-end U.S. defense tech. But, and this is a major but, it comes with a big caveat, dependence.
Okay, so what are the implications of being locked into that FMS system for long-term maintenance, especially when you're dealing with such specialized aircraft?
Well, the implication is precisely why this follow-on package is so expensive.
Ah, okay.
When you buy state-of-the-art technology via FMS, you are acquiring not just a helicopter, but an entire proprietary system, an ecosystem.
Right.
And the U.S. government maintains control over major components, spare parts, and all the deep technical data you need for complex repairs. This can lead to bureaucracy, long lead times for parts clearance.
How long are we talking?
I mean, it can stretch into months, sometimes even a year. And of course, the potential for supply chain bottlenecks is always there.
So this 5-year support package is basically a massive, proactive insurance policy. It's designed to bypass all that bureaucratic inertia and just guarantee operational uptime.
That's it.
You're paying a premium to make sure those 24 aircraft don't become what the military calls hangar queens.
Exactly. A hangar queen. It's an expensive piece of equipment that spends more time grounded in the hangar waiting for a spare part or a specialized technician than it does actually flying missions.
And you just can't afford that.
You cannot. When you've invested so much in acquiring a fleet, you cannot afford to have it rendered useless by the lack of a simple sensor or a turbine blade. That is the strategic risk this package is meant to mitigate. immediately.
Okay, so here's where it gets really, really interesting. Let's take a deep dive into the 7,995 crore package itself. This isn't just one line item, is it?
Not at all. The Ministry of Defense was meticulous in laying out what the supplier has to guarantee over the next 5 years.
So what are the core components?
The sources detail 6 essential provisions, and together they are designed to create this comprehensive logistics and technical shield around the fleet. The first, and honestly the most critical provision, is guaranteed spare parts availability.
The lifeblood.
It is the lifeblood of any modern air fleet.
But why is a guaranteed part supply so complex in a deal like this? I mean, can't they just stock up on parts?
It's highly complex because many components in the MH-60R are sensitive, they're proprietary, or they're subject to strict U.S. export controls. You can't just mass order them like you would commercial screws. The guarantee means the supplier, Lockheed Martin, has committed to maintaining a dedicated priority supply chain just for the Indian Navy.
So you jump the queue.
You jump the queue. It ensures those long lead times don't materialize for mission-critical items. Then, the second and third provisions, they cover the repair loop. So, dedicated services for the repair of both main equipment and critical sub-equipment.
Okay.
And that's combined with the provision of necessary technical assistance and field support.
That sounds like they're literally sending U.S. experts and engineers to India when a major fault happens.
Pretty much.
How does that differ from just, standard post-sale support?
Standard support often just covers basic warranty work. This package, it goes much deeper. Field support means highly specialized technical reps can be deployed directly to naval air stations in India.
On the ground.
On the ground to diagnose and repair complex avionics or propulsion issues that Indian technicians who are still, developing deep expertise on this new platform might not be able to handle yet.
So it ensures operational continuity while India sort of builds its own knowledge base.
Precisely. And then the final 3 provisions. This is where the investment shifts from immediate readiness to long-term capability building.
The long game again.
The long game. Dedicated training components, supplying the materials needed for future repair and replacement, and finally, specific technical cooperation focused on future maintenance protocols.
It really sounds like a sophisticated plan to transfer just enough technical knowledge to make India capable of maintaining the fleet without being stuck in a full-blown dependency relationship.
That is the precise objective. They are facilitating the ability to operate independently, even if the hardware itself required a foreign partnership to acquire.
Mm-hmm.
And we should briefly touch on that political resilience we mentioned earlier.
Right.
This deal, valued in the billions, is continuing completely unabated despite some reported friction, including that August announcement by former President Trump about potential 50% tariffs on Indian goods.
Yeah.
It just underscores that defense cooperation at this high strategic level.
Right.
It exists in a different sphere than commercial trade disputes.
The strategic gravity just overrides the trade tension. But now let's shift to what you called the most strategic element, the long-term payoff. This is where India's industrial strategy really comes into play. If we're spending all this money on support, what's the plan to eventually stop?
That is the crucial question, and the sources highlight the plan for localization. The deal includes a specific proposal for developing intermediate-level maintenance and repair facilities right there within India.
I find it so fascinating that the agreement specifies intermediate-level facilities. What does that one word, intermediate, tell us about the current limits of domestic capability and why this is such a huge leap for them?
It tells us everything. In military maintenance, you basically have 3 levels: organizational, or O level, intermediate, I level, and depot, D level.
Okay.
O level is your routine flight line maintenance, checking oil, swapping out easy parts. D level is the deep factory level overhaul, tearing the entire aircraft down to its frame. India can already handle O level.
Right.
The intermediate, or I level, that is the key bridge. This involves complex component repair, testing avionics in a controlled lab, fixing engine modules without having to send them all the way back to the U.S.
So if India develops that I-level capability,
They achieve self-sufficiency for about 70 to 80% of all necessary repairs.
wow, that's a game changer. Because that dramatically reduces the reliance on those foreign supply chains, which are currently handling all the I-level work.
Absolutely. And this localization effort is explicitly tied to the national strategy of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India.
That's a textbook example.
It is. It's moving beyond just assembling foreign parts in India and into actually developing sophisticated domestic repair centers that are capable of fixing complex, modern defense technology.
So beyond the security aspect, what's the domestic economic impact of building these new high-level repair centers?
The impact is substantial. It moves money into the domestic economy rather than just, sending it overseas. Developing these eye-level facilities demands specialized skills, certified engineers, high-tech tools. So this requires a massive increase in India's own technical capacity and skills base.
Right, you're training a whole new generation of technicians.
A whole new generation. Furthermore, these centers won't operate in a vacuum. They create immediate, high-value opportunities for Indian MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Well, these smaller firms can enter the supply chain. They can provide non-critical components or specialized tooling, or even develop test benches and calibration services that meet the incredible stringent standards required for Seahawk maintenance. It elevates the entire standard of India's aerospace industrial complex.
So this deal really is dual purpose then. It's an immediate operational imperative, paying the cost of guaranteed readiness for the next 5 years. But at the same time, it's a strategic investment in nation building. It's creating the infrastructure to eventually internalize that technical capability.
And reducing future external costs and vulnerability. It is the strategic blueprint for moving from being just a major defense purchaser to becoming a globally reliable maintenance and potentially manufacturing hub.
Oh, they're paying to learn.
They are paying to learn and paying to equip themselves to fix their own gear.
Okay, so let's wrap up this exploration by identifying the key takeaways that you should carry with you. First, this 7,995 crore package is an essential readiness bill for those 24 MH-60R Seahawks. It guarantees uptime under the, well, often complex foreign military sales system.
Second, the cost is tied to those 6 specific provisions, all designed to bypass supply chain bureaucracy and transfer core technical knowledge.
And finally, the ultimate goal isn't just maintenance, it's localization. The development of intermediate-level maintenance facilities as a massive concrete step toward Atmanirbhar Bharat.
And this leads directly to the critical balancing act this whole agreement kicks off.
Go on.
The source material really highlights the strategic tension. The tension between acquiring the world's most advanced military hardware via FMS, which by its very design, fosters reliance on the originating country, and the simultaneous political and industrial need to rapidly build complex domestic capabilities.
It's the paradox of modernizing a military, isn't it? You acquire the best stuff to be strong now, but in doing so, you create a dependency that makes you potentially vulnerable later.
Precisely. The challenge now is fully integrating this highly specialized foreign technology like the Seahawk's advanced sensors and systems into a self-reliant domestic ecosystem without compromising its operational effectiveness.
So the big question is, will the domestic eye-level maintenance be as good, as reliable as U.S. support?
That strategic tension, that trade-off between absolute operational capability and complete self-reliance, that is the hurdle India is now actively attempting to clear.
And that is the question we will leave you to mull over. How successfully can India manage this complex integration of foreign tech into a newly established domestic maintenance system? It is a challenge that is absolutely worth watching. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the strategy behind the Seahawk support package. Go deeper on this topic, and we'll see you next time.